The summons. Captain Marcus Rivera stood in the communication center of Luna Station, staring at the holographic message that would change everything for humanity. The transmission had arrived 3 hours ago from somewhere beyond the edge of known space. It wasn't from any human colony or known alien species. The sender called itself the Galactic Tribunal of Six. "Play it again," Rivera ordered, his weathered face showing the strain of command. At 52, he had spent half his life defending human colonies from various threats. He thought he had seen everything the galaxy could throw at humanity. The hologram activated, showing 6 different alien forms arranged in a ceremonial circle. The central figure, a tall being with flowing tentacles where a face should be, spoke in perfect English through some kind of translation device. Species designation: Human, you are hereby summoned to appear before the Galactic Tribunal of Six to answer for crimes against galactic peace and order. For 43 of your Earth years, your kind has spread across space like a disease, leaving destruction and chaos in your wake. 23 star systems bear the scars of human aggression. 17 peaceful civilizations have been displaced or destroyed by your expansion. Dr. Lena Kozlov, humanity's leading expert on alien cultures, paused the recording. Her Russian accent was thick with worry as she spoke. "Marcus, look at these numbers. They're claiming we've killed over 2 million sentient beings and stolen resources from 41 different worlds." Rivera felt his stomach drop. The accusations were staggering. According to the tribunal, humanity was responsible for the complete extinction of 3 alien species, the forced relocation of millions of beings, and the systematic strip mining of worlds that belong to others. "But that's not what happened," said Ambassador Yuki Tana. Kay, her normally calm voice shaking with anger. "Every single colony we established was on uninhabited worlds. Every conflict we've been in was defensive." Admiral Chen Wei activated another display showing humanity's expansion routes. "Look at the pattern. New Geneva was attacked by Zephyrian raiders 6 months after we settled it. The Kepler colony was invaded by something calling itself the Hive Collective. Proxima Base was bombarded from orbit before we even finished building it." Rivera studied the map. Red markers showed the locations of human settlements. Yellow markers indicated where conflicts had occurred. Without exception, every battle had started when human colonists were attacked by unknown forces. "Someone's been watching us," Rivera realized. "Every time we establish a new colony, we get hit by different alien species. But according to this tribunal, we're the aggressors." The holographic message continued playing. The tentacled being's voice grew more threatening. "The evidence against humanity is overwhelming. Video records show human ships attacking peaceful settlements. Sensor logs document the theft of resources from inhabited worlds. Testimonies from survivors describe human cruelty and disregard for non-human life." Dr. Kozlov paused the message again. "They have video evidence? How is that possible when we know we acted in self-defense?" "Edited footage," Admiral Chen suggested. "Show the response without the initial attack, and any defensive action looks like aggression." Rivera felt pieces of a puzzle clicking together in his mind. What if someone's been setting us up from the beginning? What if these attacks on our colonies were designed to make us look like the bad guys? The message reached its conclusion. "Humanity has 7 standard days to send representatives to Judgment Nexus in the Andromeda Reach. If you refuse, or if your defense is found insufficient, your species will be declared a galactic threat. Your home system will be quarantined, and your colonies will be purified." The word purified sent chills through everyone in the room. It clearly meant total destruction. "We have to go," Rivera said. "If we don't, they'll wipe out every human settlement outside the solar system. That's 15 million colonists." Admiral Chen looked grim. "It could be a trap. This tribunal could be planning to capture Earth's leadership and leave us defenseless." "Then we make sure that doesn't happen," Rivera replied. "Lena, I need you to gather every piece of evidence we have about each conflict. Video logs, sensor readings, communication records, everything. Yuki, prepare diplomatic protocols for first contact with 6 unknown species simultaneously." Ambassador Tanaka was already making notes. What about our legal position? Under Earth law, we have the right to colonize uninhabited worlds and defend ourselves when attacked. I don't think they care about Earth law, Dr. Kozlov said quietly. This feels more like a trial where the verdict has already been decided. Over the next 6 days, Rivera assembled his team and gathered evidence. The more they studied humanity's expansion history, the more suspicious the pattern became. Every major conflict had started the same way. Human colonists would establish a settlement on what appeared to be an empty world. Within months, they would be attacked by a different alien species each time. The attackers used different technologies, different tactics, and different languages, but they all made the same claim that humans had invaded their territory. When human defense forces fought back, they were accused of aggression and war crimes. It's too convenient, Rivera told his team during their final briefing aboard the diplomatic ship Endeavour. 23 different alien species, all claiming we invaded their space, all attacking just after we get settled. Either we're the unluckiest species in the galaxy, or someone's been orchestrating these conflicts. The journey to Judgment Nexus took 4 days through hyperspace. The tribunal had provided navigation data, which itself was suspicious. How did they know human hyperspace technology well enough to provide compatible coordinates? Dr. Kozlov spent the journey analyzing everything humanity knew about the 6 tribunal species. The information was limited, but disturbing patterns emerged. Look at this, she said, showing Rivera her research. The Zephyrians, the Hive Collective, the Crystal Emirates, the Void Touched, the Machine Orthodoxy, and the Elder Remnants. These are the 6 most powerful civilizations in known space. They've been expanding their territories for thousands of years. And now they're accusing us of doing what they've been doing forever, Rivera observed. More than that, Dr. Kozlov continued. Every species that attacked our colonies had some connection to one of these 6. The raiders who hit New Geneva used Zephyrian energy weapons. The Hive Collective claimed they were acting on behalf of the Void Touched. The attackers at Proxima Base had Crystal Emirates technology. Admiral Chen, who had joined them for the discussion, looked thoughtful. So the tribunal species have been using proxy forces to attack our colonies, then blaming us when we fight back. But why? Because we're different, Ambassador Tanaka said. Every other species we've encountered has rigid hierarchies, predetermined roles, limited adaptability. Humans are chaotic by comparison. We adapt, we innovate, we refuse to stay in neat categories. Rivera felt the pieces falling into place. They see us as a threat to the established order. If other species see humans thriving without their permission, it might inspire rebellions across their territories. The Endeavour dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Judgment Nexus system. What they saw took their breath away. The system contained not 1 but 6 artificial worlds, each one clearly built by a different civilization. The central world was a massive construct that seemed to combine architectural elements from all 6 species. By God, whispered Admiral Chen, look at the size of those fleets. Ships from all 6 civilizations filled the space around the worlds. Thousands of vessels, representing technology far beyond anything humanity had developed. The message was clear. Resistance was futile. But as Rivera studied the fleet formations, he noticed something interesting. The ships weren't arranged for mutual defense. Each species had positioned their vessels to watch the others as much as to threaten the arriving humans. They don't trust each other, Rivera realized. This tribunal isn't a unified alliance. It's a temporary cooperation between rivals. A communication signal reached the Endeavour. The same tentacled being from the original message appeared on screen. Human delegation, you will proceed to Docking Bay 7 on Judgment Nexus. You have 1 standard hour to prepare your defense. Choose your words carefully. The evidence against your species is overwhelming. As their ship was guided to the docking bay, Rivera gathered his team for final instructions. Remember, we're not here to beg for mercy. We're here to present the truth. If they've manipulated evidence to make us look guilty, then we'll present evidence to show what really happened. And if they won't listen, Dr. Kozlov asked. Rivera's expression hardened. Then we make them listen. Humanity didn't survive this long by giving up when the odds were bad. The docking process revealed more suspicious details. The bay was equipped with scan-nullifying fields that would prevent the humans frauding him recording anything that happened inside. The escort of armed guards from all 6 species was clearly designed to intimidate. Even the route to the tribunal chamber was lined with displays showing destroyed human settlements and weeping alien refugees. But Rivera had expected psychological warfare. What he hadn't expected was the young human woman waiting in an alcove near the chamber entrance. "Captain Rivera," she whispered urgently, "my name is Sarah Martinez. I escaped from the Kepler colony attack. I've been hiding here for 2 years, gathering information." Rivera's team stopped in shock. Sarah Martinez had been listed among the casualties of the Kepler attack. "That's impossible," Ambassador Tanaka said. "The colony was completely destroyed." "No," Sarah replied quickly, glancing nervously at the guards. 17 colonists survived. We were captured and brought here. They've been using us to create fake testimonies about human atrocities. But I kept records. I know the truth about what's really happening. She pressed a data chip into Rivera's hand. "This contains evidence that the tribunal has been planning this for decades. They've been testing human responses, studying our weaknesses, preparing for this moment." Before Rivera could ask questions, the guards were moving again, forcing the delegation toward the chamber. But as they walked, Rivera felt the weight of the data chip in his hand. Whatever was on it, it might be the key to humanity's survival. The tribunal chamber was a vast amphitheater carved from what appeared to be living crystal. 6 enormous platforms floated at different levels, each one designed for a different species. Thousands of alien observers filled the galleries around the chamber. As Rivera and his team were led to a small platform in the center, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into an execution, not a trial. The evidence against humanity might be fabricated, but the tribunal's power was very real. The tentacled being who introduced himself as High Arbiter Vex High called the session to order. His voice resonated through the chamber with absolute authority. "The trial of the human species begins now. Let the evidence of their crimes be presented." What followed was a carefully orchestrated presentation designed to make humanity look like monsters. Video footage showed human ships attacking alien settlements. Audio recordings captured human commanders ordering the destruction of civilian targets. Documents bore human signatures authorizing the seizure of alien resources. Rivera watched in growing horror as his species was painted as bloodthirsty conquerors. Every piece of evidence was real, but all context had been removed. Defensive actions looked like attacks. Responses to threats appeared to be unprovoked aggression. The presentation lasted for hours. By the end, even Rivera had to admit that if he didn't know the truth, he would believe humans were guilty of everything they were accused of. "The evidence speaks for itself," declared High Arbiter Vex High. "Humanity is a cancer that must be removed from the galaxy before it spreads further." But as the Arbiter spoke, Rivera felt the data chip in his hand. Sarah Martinez had risked everything to get this information to him. It was time to find out what secrets the tribunal had been hiding. "High Arbiter," Rivera said, standing up despite the guards moving to stop him. "Before you pass judgment, I have evidence that this tribunal needs to see." The chamber fell silent. Vex High's tentacles writhed in what might have been amusement or anger. "You wish to present a defense? Very well. But know that nothing you say will change the facts of human aggression." Rivera inserted the data chip into his portable display unit. What appeared on screen would shake the tribunal to its core and reveal the true scope of the cons. Piracy against humanity. The real trial was about to begin, the truth unveiled. The silence in the tribunal chamber was absolute, as Rivera activated the data chip. What appeared on the central display made several tribunal members shift uncomfortably on their platforms. "This is Operation Seedfall," Rivera announced, his voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "A 60-year plan designed and executed by this tribunal to eliminate humanity as a potential threat to galactic order." The display showed detailed schematics of human colony worlds, marked with attack vectors and timetables. Each document bore the official seals of the 6 tribunal species. High Arbiter Vexhi's tentacles writhed violently. These documents are fabricated. The tribunal has no knowledge of any such operation. Really? Rivera replied, activating another file. Then perhaps you can explain why your personal authorization codes appear on orders to attack human settlements. A new document appeared, showing Vexhi's biometric signature on an order to initiate Phase 7 of human containment protocols. The date was 3 months before the first attack on New Geneva. Dr. Kozlov stepped forward, her scientific training helping her analyze the evidence quickly. The pattern is clear. Every attack on human colonies was planned years in advance. The tribunal selected proxy forces from species already in conflict with their neighbors. They provided weapons, intelligence, and targeting data. But why? Asked Ambassador Tanaka, though Rivera suspected she already knew. The answer came from an unexpected source. On the platform of the Crystal Emirates, a being of living gemstone called Magistrate Corval spoke for the first time. Because humans learn too quickly, Corval said, his voice like wind chimes in a storm. In 4 decades, they went from primitive chemical rockets to faster-than-light travel. They adapted alien technologies without permission. They refused to accept their assigned place in galactic hierarchy. Admiral Chenwei, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. You attacked us because we were successful, because we proved that species don't need your permission to advance. High Arbiter Vexhi tried to regain control. Even if these documents are authentic, they prove nothing. Humanity's crimes are real. The deaths they caused cannot be undone. Rivera activated another file. You're right that the deaths can't be undone, but let's talk about who really caused them. The new evidence was devastating. It showed tribunal forces massacring their own proxy troops after failed attacks on human colonies. It documented the deliberate destruction of neutral species who refused to participate in anti-human operations. Most damning of all, it revealed the tribunal's plan to use humanity's eventual defeat as justification for pacifying dozens of other independent species. This wasn't just about stopping human expansion, Rivera said, his anger finally showing. This was about using humanity as an excuse to conquer half the galaxy. The tribunal chamber erupted in chaos. Observers from dozens of species began shouting questions at the tribunal platforms. Some demanded explanations. Others called for immediate action against the 6 species. From the platform of the machine orthodoxy, a mechanical voice cut through the noise. Primary directive requires clarification. Were human defensive actions genuine responses to orchestrated attacks? Archon Unit Zeta-9, the machine representative, had always operated on pure logic. Unlike the other tribunal species, the machines had no emotional investment in the conspiracy. Affirmative, Rivera replied, grateful for the question. Every human military action was a response to unprovoked attacks on civilian populations. Dr. Kozlov brought up tactical analyses of each major conflict. Look at the response patterns. Humans et cause always tried diplomacy first. They evacuated civilians before fighting back. They offered prisoner exchanges and ceasefires. These are not the actions of an aggressive species. But they are the actions of a dangerous one, interrupted a voice from the void-touched platform. The speaker was barely visible, more shadow than substance. Humans adapt. They learn. They refuse to remain weak. And that terrifies you, Ambassador Tanaka said with sudden understanding. The 6 species have controlled galactic civilization for millennia. You've kept other species in assigned roles, limited their development, prevented them from challenging your authority. But humans don't follow those rules. Rivera saw an opportunity and took it. The real crime here isn't human expansion. It's the tribunal's systematic suppression of independent development across the galaxy. How many species have been kept at primitive tech levels to prevent them from becoming threats? The evidence Sarah Martinez had gathered contained answers to that question too. Lists of species whose development had been artificially limited, technologies that had been suppressed or destroyed, entire civilizations that had been manipulated into conflicts to prevent them from advancing. 47 species, Dr. Kozlov read from the data. The tribunal has been actively suppressing the development of 47 different civilizations to maintain their control. The observers in the galleries were now in open rebellion. Representatives from dozens of species were demanding answers from the tribunal. Some were calling for immediate independence from tribunal authority. High Arbiter Vex High rose to his full height, his tentacles spreading wide in a gesture of absolute authority. Enough! This trial is about human crimes, not tribunal policies. The evidence against humanity stands regardless of these fabricated documents. Then let's test that evidence, Rivera said. I call for verification protocols. Let every piece of evidence against humanity be examined by independent observers. Let's see how much of it holds up under scrutiny. The tribunal does not recognize your authority to call for anything, Vex High replied. But his voice carried less certainty than before. From the platform of the Elder Remnants, an ancient voice spoke. Curator Prime was old when the other species were young, representing a civilization that predated all the others. The human proposal has merit. Truth should not fear examination. Rivera felt a spark of hope. If the Elder Remnants supported investigation, other species might follow. But Vex High was not finished. It matters not. The decision has been made. Humanity will be quarantined and their colonies purified. The vote was taken before this trial began. The admission sent shockwaves through the chamber. Several tribunal members looked surprised, suggesting that not all of them had been part of the predetermined verdict. You planned to exterminate us from the beginning, Admiral Chen said. This trial was just for show. Not exterminate, corrected a new voice. From the shadows near the chamber entrance, more humans emerged. Sarah Martinez led a group of 17 colonists who had supposedly died in various attacks. They planned to control us, Sarah continued. The survivors from each attack were brought here and studied. They wanted to understand how humans adapt so quickly. Once they learned our secrets, they would allow a small population to survive under their direct control. Rivera felt pieces clicking together. You wanted to weaponize human adaptability, create a slave species that could reverse engineer any technology, solve any problem, but never threaten your authority. An elegant solution, admitted Magistrate Corval. Human ingenuity, properly directed, could solve many galactic problems. But human independence threatened everything we had built. So you chose to end that independence, Rivera said, by force. The chamber had grown quiet again, but it was the quiet of gathering storm rather than calm. Rivera could see the observers calculating, planning, choosing sides. The decision stands, High Arbiter Vex High declared. Humanity will be contained. The fleet is already moving toward your home system. Rivera smiled grimly. No, they're not. He activated one final file from Sarah's data chip. It showed real-time fleet positions around the Judgment Nexus system. The tribunal ships were moving, but not toward Earth. While we've been talking, your fleet commanders have been reading the evidence we broadcast to every ship in the system. They're learning that their own governments have been lying to them about humanity's crimes. Dr. Kozlov brought up communication logs. Ship after ship is requesting clarification from their home governments. Some are refusing orders entirely. The truth was spreading like wildfire through the assembled fleets. Decades of propaganda were collapsing under the weight of documented evidence. But the tribunal had one last card to play. High Arbiter Vex High activated an emergency protocol that sealed the chamber and began charging weapon systems throughout the Nexus. If we cannot control the narrative, we will silence all witnesses, Vex High announced. This chamber and everyone in it will be destroyed. The galaxy will learn that humans attacked the tribunal, justifying their complete elimination. Rivera had expected this possibility. Humanity had learned not to trust easily. Protocol 7, he said quietly into his communicator. High above the Nexus system, space began to shimmer. One by one, human ships dropped out of hyperspace. Not the small diplomatic views, cells anyone expected, but the full Earth Defense Force fleet. Admiral Chen smiled at the shocked faces around the chamber. Did you think we would send our negotiators to face 6 hostile civilizations without backup? The entire human fleet has been waiting just outside this system since we arrived. But our sensors showed no ships, protested the machine representative. Human stealth technology, Dr. Kozlov explained with pride. Something we developed after the 5th unprovoked attack on our colonies. We learned not to trust anyone completely. The display screens showed the scope of humanity's response. 300 ships surrounded the Nexus system, their weapons powered but not yet targeting anything. Now we negotiate as equals, Rivera announced. The tribunal will withdraw all fleets from human space. They will formally acknowledge that humanity acted in self-defense, and they will cease their interference with the development of independent species. Or what? High Arbiter Vex High demanded, though his tentacles had stopped writhing. Or we release all this evidence to every species in the galaxy, Rivera replied, including the complete list of civilizations you've been suppressing. I doubt they'll be as diplomatic in their response as humans have been. The silence stretched out for long minutes. Around the chamber, representatives from dozens of species watched the tribunal platforms, waiting to see how their supposed protectors would respond. Finally, Curator Prime of the Elder Remnants spoke. The humans offer reasonable terms. Perhaps it is time for the galaxy to develop, naturally. One by one, the other tribunal species agreed, some grudgingly, others with apparent relief that the conspiracy was finally ending. High Arbiter Vex High was the last to speak. Very well. The tribunal accepts human terms, but know this: humans will adapt to our peace as readily as they adapted to our conflicts. That adaptability, what it is, will reshape the galaxy in ways none of us can predict. Rivera nodded. That's what makes life interesting. As the tribunal session ended and the various fleets began withdrawing, Rivera gathered his team for the journey home. They had prevented a war and exposed a conspiracy that had shaped galactic politics for generations. What happens now? Dr. Kozlov asked as they boarded the Endeavor. Now we build something new, Rivera replied. A galaxy where species are free to develop their own potential, where conflicts are resolved through honest negotiation instead of manipulation. Ambassador Tanaka looked thoughtful. It won't be easy. Centuries of controlled development have left most species dependent on the tribunal system. Then we'll help them learn independence, Admiral Chen said, the same way we learn to defend ourselves. As the Endeavor entered hyperspace for the journey home, Rivera reflected on what they had accomplished. Humanity had faced judgment and turned it back on their accusers. They had proven that even the most powerful civilizations could be held accountable for their actions. But more importantly, they had opened the door to a new kind of galactic civilization. One based on cooperation rather than control, on mutual development rather than enforced stagnation. The tribunal had been right about one thing: humanity's adaptability would reshape the galaxy. But not through conquest or destruction, through the simple revolutionary idea that every species had the right to determine its own destiny.